Hello everyone. Welcome to the Spark Databricks first video, where we're going to set up the prerequisite of performing the Spark execution. And before going for setting up the basic infra for executing the Spark program in Azure Databricks, first we need to understand what is the Spark and how it useful for the industry, right? And as you know, or you can read the article on Spark. Spark is in memory. In memory processing engine means it will store the data in memory, and whenever you need it will fetch data from in memory and process it. That means it will avoid storing data into the hard disks, right? And when you again want to use that data, then system will go back to the SSD or hard disk to read the data. So we are ignoring that latency of reading or processing data from the SSD and SSD, right? So instead of reading data from SSD or hard disks, it directly read the data from the in memory, right? It's not like all the data, but reusable data or frequent used data, which you are using on every steps, right? Across the program. So that Spark has the capability to process a huge amount of data in very performance optimized manner, fast manner, and it's it's very quick to analyze the data, and uh, which will uncover the valuable insight for the business, right? So they will take the decision on decision timely manner, right? Why is it useful? Because it has the capability to process large huge amount of data, and if you combine the Spark with the Databricks, then you have the capability to get rid of the initial setting up the infrastructure for the Spark program execution and sort of thing, because Databricks provide all this necessary infrastructure for your workspace notebook, and that notebook support different programming languages like Scala, R, Python, SQL, whatever, right? PySpark. So you can directly start your practical or writing the program instead of spending too much time on setting up the basic infrastructure, right? Yeah. So here you can see I listed down all these the benefits and real world examples. So fast data processing, of course, the most important point is scalability, since we have the Databricks on Azure, so there is no need to worry about the scalability. It will scale depend on the needs. And we have the workspace over there. So workspace, where we can together collaborate with the data scientists, engineers, and analysts work together and integrated environment, right? It's kind of highly compatible with the Azure. So Azure services, so you can process and transform or store data anywhere in Azure and access in Databricks cluster from any service from any Azure service, right? And real world example, wherever we have the huge amount of data and we want to take the real time decision and process and get the valuable insight, and that's the use case of Spark, right? Definitely. So retail, customer transaction, website click, production inventory, sales marketing data. Mostly, like I just listed down few, because in those four, you notice one thing. We always deal with the huge amount of data, right? Customer transaction data. So there, uh, in a single day, I don't know, there are billions of transaction happening around the banks, right? And website click stream. So I don't know how many users usually visit to the website and click here and there, and that data I'm talking about, and then product inventory data, and Uh, the Amazon, Walmart, and Home Depot, you can see they have the huge, the product inventory, right? And sort of things, and sales and marketing data, of course, like for bigger company, for they have the so many products, so they have the marketing and sales data. And nowadays everyone is going through the marketing campaigns, and which will directly proportional to the revenue generation or sales, right? Yeah. Benefit, of course, like if you combine the Spark capability with the Databricks, right, and with Azure, then it would be very useful for the organization, because you directly start working on the data insights instead of spending time on the infrastructure and then setting up the environment for Spark job and all. So you will save, I don't know, like few months, right? Few months. Yeah, so in this video, or the first video of Spark Databricks, so here I'm using Databricks to execute the Spark program, right? By Spark program, but you can use you can do this execution anywhere, right? On premise, you can install the Spark in your local system and do the execution, or you can separately install the Spark on virtual machine. There you can also do the execution, and but you have to set up the infrastructure, right? But in Databricks, infrastructure already there, everything, just you have to do click, and everything is ready for you within a second, or maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And with the help of notebook, you can start executing things without spending too much time on an infrastructure setup, right? Okay, so in this exercise or project, right, we are going to perform two things. One, the initial setup of Spark streaming job. How we gonna get the data from with the help of Spark streaming, right? So for this activity, we're gonna take in this project, we're gonna take the Event Hub, Azure Event Hub, where we Azure Event Hub, gonna produce the data in a streaming manner. We will see, and then we have the program written in Notebook, right, which will consume the data from Azure Event Hub and transform transform and then store into the Azure storage account and Delta tables, right? So yeah, so for that activity, process getting the data and processing and then storing into the final landing area, we need to at least must have some initial setup, right? Initial setup means we have the Azure Event Hub service up and running, right? And we should have Azure Databricks up and running, right? Because we're going to use the notebook from the Azure Databricks, and we should have the Azure storage account where we are going to store our final data, right? So in this video, we're gonna set up Azure Event Hub. We gonna set up the Azure Databricks service and Azure storage account. Three things we're gonna set up here, right? And so the one important thing is there is no need to worry about the naming convention, right? So you can choose the name as per your convenient, right? Because sometimes we see the difference, like in documentation video. Okay, in documentation you have given this name, but why you didn't follow the same naming convention in video? So it doesn't matter, right? It's just a practical for beginner level, so you can choose a name as per your convenient, right? But for steps wise, for basic infra wise or basic concept wise, you should follow the documentation. So yeah, so what we're going to first set up the Azure Event Hub. So let's create the Azure Event Hub over here. So you can search here Event Hub. So here you can see Event Hubs. So Simply you can create from here or from here, so doesn't matter. Just so I don't have any resource group, so I'm going to create the resource group RG Spark Databricks, right? And then save the name and just select the name or give the name as per your convenient, right? There is uh, EDU LLC, yeah. So Spark Databricks Education Academy LLC, and then pricing tier. We should choose standard. Then you have to, okay, throughput unit. I think two would be good because it's just a practical thing, so small. And let's go to the advanced. There is no need. Networking, all good. Public access and all tags. There is no need to add tags now since you have just one resource. So let's review and create. Yeah, now it's validated. Validation succeeded. Then let's click on the create and see here submitted deployment. So it will take, it takes, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes. So while it's creating, let's go back to the home and create the storage account, right? Instead of waiting that. So same resource group, right? And storage account name is Spark. If you see here, the event hub is created, but let's finish this. Spark spec data storage edu, right? We created this one standard local, right? There is no need here. Here you can click article name space, right? Then it will become the data lake. So create. So when it's, so now it's creating. So let's, okay, now let's go back to the event hub here. So you see here event hub namespace is created. You can see here event hub namespace. So under this namespace, we're going to create the event hub, right? And here you can see request for messages throughput, right? Incoming, outbound, everything you can see here, right? 6 hour, 2 hours, Kafka surface, event hub namespace, right? See here the message, the storage account has created now. So let's finish this activity and create the event hub first. So Spark Databricks event hub, right? And one partition is more than enough for practical, but in real-time scenario, the minimum partition should be three, right? To achieve the fault tolerance, right? 1 hour, it will delete the data. So delete means it will delete the data after 1 hour. Whatever data you processed, it will delete from the topic. So next capture, no need of, right now there is no need to enable. If you enable, then it will push the data to the topic as well as the storage account. If you own this, the asking for the storage account container and all. So there is no need of right now. So create the event hub. We gonna use this event hub, and event hub successfully created. If you see here, right, all these all these options, event settings, shared policy. So in shared policy there is one policy is automatic created, right? And these primary key and secondary key and name we're gonna use to for authentication while we gonna run the Spark program, all right, to get the data from event hub, right? So we're gonna use this key as our authentication in Databricks notebook. So let's go back to the event hub. Yes, where we created. So Spark Databricks event hub, click on this. Let's go back and so here partition mode 1, message retention 1 hour active, and here, right, consumer group. So here you can say capture event, process data, connect, so many things you can see. So we're gonna use the generate data preview, right? So we can generate the data for testing purpose, but let's first create the consumer groups. So there are I will create two consumer group: Spark streaming data, streaming topic, or I could say consumer better, right? Streaming, yeah, consumer, yeah, and same thing, Spark batch consumer. So here you can see two default one. So one consumer group we gonna use. Consumer group is just group to consume the data, right? You cannot consume the data. You cannot same consumer group or same consumers cannot consume the data from same topic, right? So better to create a different consumer group and consume the data from the same topic. So I created a streaming consumer for consume the streaming data and batch consumer for consuming the batch data, right? Okay, so here everything is set up. We are ready with the consumers. We are ready with the event hub. We are ready with the event hub workspace. We also have the access policy over here, right? Not here, but in here, right? So let's go back to the storage account. Our storage account is ready, right? And here containers, we're going to create the containers. There are four containers: one for streaming data, one for batch data, one for delta tables, one for checkpoint, right? Checkpoint directory, right? So if your job fails, then Spark job read the checkpoint, right, location from where it like where you know where last time it left the process, right? So where from there it will pick the process. So let's see the documentation. At the end we're going to create the Databricks cluster. So here you can see, let me zoom, batch data layer, checkpoint delta table. So we also have the delta table checkpoint and delta table data and streaming data layer. Okay, so we have to create 5 container first. Batch layer done, streaming data layer, delta table layer, and checkpoint. I just changed the name checkpoint directory, right? And again checkpoint delta directory. So one checkpoint directory we're gonna use for batch and streaming, right? One for we're gonna use for Delta, or you can also create another checkpoint directory for batch layer, streaming layer, and sort of things, right? Let's create the checkpoint for the checkpoint batch dir, but we're not gonna use this for batch, right? Okay, so we are done with all these configuration in like for Event Hub and storage account, and on last thing we left to create the Databricks. So you can click here or search here Azure Databricks. Click on this and create the same store, the same resource group. Workspace name is Spark Databricks PRCKS EDU LLC. I think it should be standard. No, no, there is no need of this encryption. We don't need right now. Security compliance as well. We don't need now. Tag we don't need right now. Review and create. So it's very simple, right? It's validated, and now it's we gonna create this. This takes a little bit more time because it's going to set up a Spark cluster and couple of other components, right? So yeah, so it's kind of bigger provisioning the resources, just not just one. Like it will provision the Spark cluster, then I think the create the integration with the Azure storage account to store the logs and create the temporary directories within the Databricks and yeah, couple of other things. Yeah. Okay, so this is the Azure Databricks. We are here, right? We are creating this, and then once complete, then launch workspace, and then we have to create the cluster after that. Once cluster is, once cluster created, then we have to create the notebook and install some library to, this library is just to, get the, or I can say it's a module which is responsible to, get the data or provide the environment to get the data from or to connect with the Azure Event Hub service, right? Through the Spark or Databricks Spark or notebook from notebooks. So yeah, if you worked on with Maven and all, so the this is similar with this Maven libraries and all, right? And these are the dependencies. So let's see, now it's still in provisioning phase. Yeah. Then the cluster updated, then we're going to install the library, right, in cluster, and then explore the few options in cluster, Spark EVI, driver logs, sort of things, right? Environment, Spark UI master, what, and then at the end we're gonna create the notebook. This project is very simple, but after that we're going to see, after this project we're going to see the in-depth transformation and schema management, schema registry, schema evaluation in Spark, right? How we're gonna do the schema registry, how we're gonna create the put the schema restriction on the data, right? and a couple of failure handling scenarios, and a deep dive in Spark UI for performance optimization, and how jobs behaves in Spark UI, and how you can notice if there is an issue with the job, right? But in these all we're going to cover in next project, not this one. This is just to you, so you can familiar, okay, this is the way you can execute the Spark job using the Azure Databricks cluster or notebook, right? So let me see. Yeah, now here you can see deployment is complete, and let's go back to the source resource. So here you can see active resource group, this one, and manage the URL. You can click here or here. Both are same, right? You can click either here or here. So click here. It will ask for the authentication. It start authenticating since I'm already logged in here. So it should log in, right? So here you can see a couple of other things, playground experimental. So you can ignore this. This is for the machine learning, but these are for data engineers. So let's click on the compute. In compute, we're going to create the cluster, right? So create compute. You can create multi-node, single node cluster. For now, single node is more than enough for practical point of view, but in real-time scenario, and there should be, there should be multi-node cluster, at least three node. So this is the latest version of Spark, and use photon accelerator. Remove this right now, no need. 16 GB memory for course, I don't think so. We're gonna use 16 GB memory. It should be, I think, 8 GB is enough. Yeah, 8 GB is enough. Yeah, here you can see determination after one, or I could say 60 minutes. Would be good up to 1 hour. It should terminate automatically. Otherwise, like, it will cost us. So you can go with the advanced option. These are the local modes, and also you can ignore right now. This you can set the logging path, and log path initiate script if you want to run the script at the time of Spark cluster initialization, but not now. Like extra configuration, not single node, and create the so Spark Scala. Okay, and create the cluster. So now it's creating the cluster. It takes time again, yeah. So here you can say the notebook, right? Configuration, notebook, library, event log, Spark UI, driver logs, matrix app, Spark UI, everything is there, right? And these are useful for jobs debugging. If your job taking more time to execute, then you're gonna go with the Spark UI and to find out why this job is taking long time, right? To see all these stats, executor, and the stages and the partition level and sort of things, right? So uh, uh, let's wait this cluster to be provisioned. Yeah. And right now, if you see, and there is, yeah. But in the meantime, what we're gonna do, gonna install the library, right? Because next video we're gonna perform. mm, this is the Maven, right? So it's uninstall. So it will install the library in cluster, right? If you don't install this, then you won't be able to connect the event hub through the Databricks, right? It will give you the error like no, the module not found, or compatibility not found, or missing library. That's why you see com Microsoft Azure Event Hub Spark. So this is the library which is responsible to connect the event hub using the Spark program. Cluster is creating, it's always takes time, this cluster creation and all. Here we can see this is the Spark namespace, the Databricks workspace, East US location, Spark Databricks, education area, workspace over there. You can connect the this to the GitHub and all, right? Repos and all. Here you can create the folder, Git folder, notebook, MLSP file, everything. Recent you're gonna catalog, right? Metastore and sample. This is just high metastore and all. It's searching for the tables metadata, but we don't have. So workflows, right? Jobs, how many jobs you have, job runs over. You can see the job runs over here. Active, inactive, run as launch, duration, status, error code, parameters, start time, end time, everything here, and complete success, failed, skipped. All these things you can use say, even though the error code as well, possible error codes. Everything create job over here. You can create the job over here, right? Click on, then you see how you can create the job. Add the parameter cluster sort of thing, workspace, notebook, type, right? Python, jar, and Spark, everything like Python. If you have Python file, then Python. If you have the jar. If you have the command, then Spark submit. If else condition, so many things. SQL as well, I think. Yeah, SQL as well. You can, yeah, and also you can connect to the Git. So that job directly, if you commit something to the Git, and job will directly sense and then trigger here. So there are so many functionality over here, right? So instead of setting up, spending too much time on setting up the infrastructure, and here it's easy. So here as well, Git notebook, Git folder cluster, and all the jobs. So we already creating cluster, already creating the cluster. It's creating a state and runtime 15.4, active DBO UI source. This is my address, and it's creating the compute, right? And how about the library? If you click on the cluster, and it's also, of course, it will install when the cluster, will, up and run. Clone JSON means if you see the JSON here, you can use this JSON to create the cluster using the Python code, Terraform sort of things, right? It's a template, right? Partner connect, right? All apps, man. It always takes time, yeah, because installing the cluster and installing the Spark version and the Scala version, then setting up the configuration, basic configuration, right? Setting up the connectivity, setting up the networking, right? So, which I told you. And this is the Spark UI master. Here you can terminate the instance, delete the instance. If you see the 60 minute, it will terminate after 60 minutes. If you inactive, right? If you are inactive 60 minutes, then it will terminate. So you won't be charged then. See, these are the pinned here runtime. You can also work a driver notes, everything you can pin and list down here, right? So if you remove this creator one, right? It will disappear. Source, I don't think so. Source needed, but worker I need 8 GB memory and all. See here, now our cluster is up and running. Here, click on the cluster. See the status cluster is running. Library it should now install. On the driver node, but not finished yet. Of course, because there was, the process going on for provisioning the cluster. Now cluster is up and running. That's now it should be installed. See here. So now it's installed, and you can see the status. This is the all these things, right? And if you see configuration, all the configuration which you selected, notebooks, right now there is no notebooks. And clone, restart, everything you can write, edit the configuration, you can edit the cluster and increase, decrease the and the config, right? And event log, here you can see event at creating, running, and healthy libraries. You can install the libraries. And see here all these jobs, how many jobs you find here, jobs and all, and the stages, the storage, right? Everything, right? Whatever configuration you have here, Azure, right? Everything you can find SQL data from if you are executing any SQL query or running any SQL operation or data from operation, right? So here, right, everything you can see. So what else I need to show you? Matrix, that's okay. Spark UI, that's the environment. Yeah. So of course matrix, that's okay. So right now there is no matrix. Spark you can see because Spark is up and running, so you can see all these metrics over here, right? Last hour compute basis and all, and you can see GPU. We don't have GPU, so no hardware. Yes, so load estimation, memory utilization, right? Free file system space, receipt report, transit, number of active nodes, right? Here you can see only one since we have the one node cluster. And yeah, and apps, driver logs. So here you can see error, standout, all these things over here you can check, right? Now let's go back to the workspace and here create the notebook. So we should create two notebook. So first for Spark streaming Databricks NB, right? And the another one should be Spark Databricks batch notebook, right? So now we have the two notebook over here. So in this notebook, the Spark streaming Databricks, we're going to execute the Spark program. And Spark Databricks, I think we should change the name. Yes, batch NB. So here we're going to execute the batch program, right? There are minor difference in streaming and batch program, right? Okay, so in this video we covered I think everything starting from setting up the event hub, then storage account, and in event hub we created the two consumer group, one for streaming, one for batch, And in storage account, we created I think five folder: one for streaming, one for batch data, one for checkpointing directory for batch, one for checkpointing for streaming, one for checkpoint directory for delta layer, and delta layer folder for delta table data, right? And we created a Databricks cluster, set up the cluster with the needed configuration, right? And you show all these Spark UI, the job stages, executor, SQL data frame, all these things, environment variable, and you also added the cluster, and again create the cluster, and you saw how we want to install the compatible library module library libraries which is needed for setting up a connection between Spark program to Event Hub to like for getting the data. And you also saw how we're going to create the notebook and couple of other functionality, how we can connect the GitHub, right, to follow the CI/CD or DevOps practice. And also how we can create the job where we can go and see the job logs: active, failed, and failed, succeed, skipped one. And we saw where we can check the metrics: hardware, GPU, CPU, Spark, and sort of things like memory utilization, number of nodes, all the metrics we can see over there, right? So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and good luck for the practice. Hello everyone. Again, welcome back to the second video of Spark Databricks project. So in this video, we're going to cover the real execution of a Spark program using Databricks Notebook. So it will get the data from Event Hub in streaming fashion, and process it and store into the Delta table and Azure storage account, right? So in first video session, we covered creating the setting up the initial infrastructure or initial services. So we set up the Azure storage account and created 4 to 5 folder for batch streaming and checkpointing and delta tables, and then create the event hub, and also create the event hub namespace, then event hub, and then two consumer group: one for batch, one for streaming data or processing or streaming program. And also spin up the Databricks cluster, and created the two notebooks, right? If you remember, if you forgot, then you can go back and watch the first video, so you remember all these things. So last time we left off from here, uh, and let's start by executing the streaming program first as per the architecture, right? The event hub, we generate the data in event hub, then process consume through the consumer group, and process through the Spark streaming, and then uh, insert into the Azure storage account and Delta table, right? And using the Databricks notebook and Databricks cluster for processing a Spark program or running a Spark program. So let's open the streaming notebook here, and notebook here we have the Python. You can select SQL, Scala, R, whatever you want to execute, and then I open the program over here. I copy. This is something you can find in documentation once you get the project, right? So here I copy and paste that, right? And I should remove that part. This is not comment. So here, before going to execute this program, let's understand what I did it right. Here are the libraries like PySpark library is which Spark session to initiate, invoke the Spark session to execute our program. And these are the some libraries: string type and functions, column and data frame functions, right? Which we are using for manipulating SQL, JSON. At the end, I think we are consuming data, JSON data, and storing into JSON format. So we are importing JSON. These are the offset, right? So we'll start from the beginning always. -1. There are a couple of other parameter, latest, earliest, and sort of things. But here we are consuming from the beginning. From event hub, this configuration for the event hub, right? Start offset sequence number -1 not in use. So these are default parameters, right? And position and starting event position and event position, right? And these are the event hub configuration. The event hub name, namespace name, right? Which we're going to replace now. And the event hub name and SSH key, which I show you, right? Which I showed you, and the key, right? So let's first replace this from the event hub. And so let's go back to the home here, and this is our event hub name. This is not the event hub name, I think. This is the event hub. Event hub namespace, right? Copy. And if you see here, event hub namespace, so you should event hub namespace, and then we have to no, we have to check the event hub namespace somewhere. Yes, this one is the event hub namespace. That's what I'm looking for. See here, this one I should copy, paste here, right? You even, and then I have to replace this name by event hub name, because, and then go back to the event hub and copy this name here, right? And then go back to the event hub namespace, right? And there should be this shared access policy where you can see this name. Click on this name, right? And copy this primary key and paste it over here. See the all this value, replaced by these dynamic parameters over here, right? Name and all. And here event hub connection string, it will encrypt, because this is the key which we need to encrypt. So it will come, in correct format, right? Or readable format. That's why we gonna use this library, event hub library, to encrypt the connection string, so we can get the correct format. And this is the event consumer group. So we have to see where is the consumer group, right? Event hub, and click on the event hub, then we'll see consumer group. What is the name of the streaming? This is the right. You can copy this one and paste it here, right? Streaming consumer. And this is something you took it from at the top starting position. You say latest, earliest, offset and all. And here we are initializing the Spark session and giving the our job name or application name. Event hub example Spark streaming, get and create the session. And this is our storage account name, and we should put the key over here from storage account, so it will authenticate and put the final data. So let's go back to the home, and this is our storage account, Spark. I think it's the same, but let's copy, and yes, it's the same. And in, I think, access key, yes, in access key you can show and copy one of the access key. Yes. So this is the we set the Spark configuration with this storage account name, right? Storage account name and the access storage access key, comma. So now by setting this, it will authenticate the storage account using the Spark, right? And now from here we are reading data from the event hub. This is the syntax Spark. How this is how we gonna read the we usually read the data from event hub if it is streaming. So read streaming and format event hub, reading data from event hub. Here we are passing the config, the event hub config, this where we have the authentication, consumer group, and starting and end position, and loading data, right? Once we load data into this variable, then we're going to use this variable and uh, put the value into body column, cast as a string, and give it to the alias message, just right. And here we are writing the stream to the storage account, right? Query event hub write stream format JSON in the form of JSON. If you see at the top, I import the JSON option path. This is the streaming layer, right? mm, Storage account name, mm, I should copy this, right? Storage account name, this is checkpoint for streaming. So let's go back to the storage account and containers. What is the directory name for streaming? Yes, so copy this one, right, and put here, right. And checkpoint directory, what is streaming checkpoint directory? Batch, this one we can take this checkpoint directory for streaming, right. Yes. So if something goes wrong, then it will start from this like from the fail position, fail, where last left off. And now here we are creating the database, delta db database, and the table, sample delta table, name and string, these two things, right? And yeah, delta table data. So first let's copy this account name here again. So delta table data, it will is it's since extra, it's a external table, right? So it will use to store the data in this layer. Yes. uh, Sample data message merge schema append is append the data, write data into the delta table, and checkpoint delta table, we have to checkpoint delta directory. Yes, copy this one, right. Checkpoint delta directory, copy this account. I think both are same, so that's okay. And table name, and this query await termination, like it will, I know, continue running, it will keep continuing until you terminate the job, right? This is the concept of streaming, right? And yeah, so this is the format. We have to pass the data name and age. This is the schema, right? And you can pass anything, could be many schemas. So let's run this. So now it's running. We have to now pass the data from event hub. So event hub, click event hub, event hub, click here, and then if you see generate data, you can generate here custom payload. So you can delete all those. So as per the schema, you can give name and age. So name Surya is 31, right? And if you see here, it's running, and if I post this data, binary JSON, let's try binary. It's here, it's processing, Spark job running, job 1 and 2 running. It's running, and then this, let's pass and generate another data. Same data you can pass multiple times, doesn't matter, it will create separate files. Yes, so see here, you can say changing, taking the data and generating, taking data, generating. Now let's duplicate the tab and see the storage account, whether we have the data or not over there. So home, storage account, and this is the storage account, and containers, and the streaming layer. Here you can see, right, it will store, it will it is stored the data, streaming data. If you click on this and add it, see message Surya is and all. So this is the power of a stream, and here you have the metadata and all. And if you click the, you see the metadata. So this is the metadata, it will store here the version 1, right, and all. And since we also storing data into the delta tables, then let's see the checkpoint directory. Here you can see the offset, source, metadata, whatever, every information, right. Let's go back to the container and delta table layer. Here as well, you see, right, 94 available, 94 available, because we're posting data as well for data tables. And checkpoint also, delta directory checkpoint, here also you can see, right, the same one. This is the ID, offset, 01 offset, 02 offset, everything you can see over here. Config, right, everything, 2 evolution 2 3 those 200 and all, everything you can see over here. So you got the point, right? And this program is continue running. So you feed the data. So let's again, we feed the data, and again feed the data. So 5 files, initially 3, 2 more we increased. So here you can see in delta layer also we're gonna 1 2 3 4, and in streaming, yeah, 2 3 5 6, right. So you can see one is, I think, disappeared. 1 2 3 4 5 6 count, yeah, but you can see streaming, how it's a streaming work. So let's click on this interruption, so it will stop. right? And let's go back to the batch. So we're gonna perform the same thing for the batch job as well. So here, and also one more thing, it's not about only the storing into the final data in the storage account. You can store data into the Azure databases, Azure Synapse, everywhere, wherever you want, right? It's not like Cosmos DB, SQL database, Postgre, everywhere. So this is the same configuration. Batch mode is just you have to you will remove this query.await termination. So when you run, then it will trigger. When you click here, then it will run. When you click here, it will run. It's not something when you it's like it's keep continue running. No, that is a batch, right? And the same thing we are doing here, right? Right. Again, we have to. I think I should duplicate this so we can open the streaming, right, and copy the. So here I just cancel this one. So this configuration we can copy and right, since we have the same, and this is the name different. This is also we have to copy. So go at the top. Not this one. I think this one we have to copy. That's it. Yes, this one we have to copy here. Yes. Okay, let's go back to same thing, couple of other things which we are using or not. We are using offset, setting up the offset from, we are getting data from beginning, namespace, event hub namespace, EH4 event hub, right? And the authentication namespace. Here we have to set the consumer group name, right? So consumer group is event hub, consumer group, batch consumer group. We can set here. This one, I think this is the, yes, and all are same. We change this key storage account, but we have to change here, do the change batch data layer to store the final data. So let's go back here. Let's go back to the storage account container and batch data layer, right? Yes, both are same. And storage account is, I think, same, right? Yeah, same. So if we execute this, let's execute. So if you see here, you can see the data over here. Surya name, Surya everything, right? Because I printed the data over so 10 files, right? Because why it's showing the data? Because I selected the starting position is starting offset like from beginning. So whatever data we processed, you can see here, right? 31, 31, 31 couple of times the same thing, right? And you can see the data and I think this is the, yes, so batch here as well. See here this part only one file, right? Because it stored all the data, right? And you can see different data. Let's pass uh, different type of data, like select the yellow taxi data and let's push that data, right? So you see the couple of data over here, and if I run this, see it automatically terminate, right? And so if you see here the taxi data over here, picking time and all, so and then just now completed, it's not keep continue running and all because it's a bad job, right? And you can see this data, if I refresh this best data layer in second part, right? 154 KB, 41 KB, 154 KB. So this part you can see the taxi data. See when I do pickup time and all. Right, so this is the streaming program which you saw how we're gonna run using the authentication, using the offset, using the key, using the storage account, right? And delta tables, delta is just so you can familiarize, you can get to know and uh, have the compatibility, right? Have the uh, understanding, so you can start or deep diving in Spark tutorials. And similarly, you saw how we executed the batch job as well, right? Uh, and we will provide you all the codes which I wrote in documentation, right? And also so you can do the hands dirty, and also this project purpose is only to so you should know, like you know how we can set up the uh, or how we can spin up the basic services to run the Spark job, right? In upcoming session we're gonna see the advanced topic, the schema registry, schema evolution, transformation in different the different way of how we can transform the data cleaning, data quality checks and sort of things. And instead of storing data into the storage account, we will store the data in Cosmos DB, Azure Synapse, or SQL, right? And also we're gonna see how we can schedule the batch jobs using the Azure Data Factory, using the scheduler, or using the jobs, the Databricks jobs and all, create jobs and all. But for now, that's enough for you to understand and do the practice. So you should be ready for in-depth practice or practical, right? Which will be coming soon. So thank you for watching the last session for Spark Databricks project. Do the hands dirty and good luck.